This is Candace. Welcome to the Freedom Zone where the truth is set free, whether you like it or not. As I said, I'm Candace, your host. I'll be here with you today to point out a couple of things you might have missed on the news because they don't tell you everything unless it's something they want you to know. So, have you heard about the whistleblower, the Ukraine, and Trump? I'm sure you have because that's all they've talked about for the last 2 weeks. But the thing that happened yesterday that was very interesting was how Adam Schiff and the whistleblower got together. They had their little talk, and Adam Schiff convinced the whistleblower to fill out a whistleblower form, and then he lies and he says that he never talked to them. Actually, he said his office never talked to the whistleblower, but it wasn't the office. It was him that talked to it. Do we have a picture of Adam Schiff to put up there?
No, not yet. I'm sorry.
Okay, we don't have it yet, but I think we all know who he is. He's Shifty Shift. It's the Shifty Shift show now. Almost every day he makes up dialogue for people. It's kind of like the Bozo show we used to watch when we were kids, only Bozo show had a lot more meaning. But the interesting part about this whole entire Ukraine, President Trump, problems with the Ukraine prior, as far as knowing about when the investigation started on Trump, is very interesting because there's something you probably don't know. I didn't know it until yesterday, and I happened to find it. Ran across it. There is a picture. I need a picture of Clinton and Biden and Obama up there, because what you may not know is at the end of his term, President Bill Clinton made a treaty with the Ukraine. He made a treaty with the Ukraine that lets the Ukraine help the U.S. investigate criminal cases. Now, why would we need that? Well, that doesn't make sense to me either, but it does make sense to me that Hillary Clinton would go to them when she was running for president to try and get dirt on Trump, and it also makes sense to me that there would be people who would try to work with Ukraine to get more dirt or things on Trump. So that's pretty much never talked about on the news, and something like this treaty emerged at the very end of, like I said, of President Bill Clinton's administration, and was approved by a Senate in which former Vice President Biden proudly served. Well, isn't that a coincidence? The treaty in question is the treaty with Ukraine on mutual legal assistance in criminal matters, ratified by the U.S. Senate on October 18, 2000. This treaty, crafted with drug trafficking in mind. Now, I don't know, do we get a lot of drugs out of Ukraine? Seems a little bit far to go for dope. But anyway, it allows either country to call on the other for assistance in taking the testimony or statements of persons, providing documents, records, and other items of evidence, locating or identifying persons or items, serving documents, transferring persons in custody for testimony and other purposes, executing requests for searches and seizures, assisting in proceedings related to immobilization and forfeiture of assets, restitution and collection of fines, rendering any other form of assistance not prohibited by the laws of the requested state, according to the State Department summary. And that's a long list, isn't it? I mean, that seems like a long list. But, it kind of gives it a broad spectrum, and it's open-ended the way I read it. It means that there's lots of things that they could do that aren't necessarily on this list. One such form could be an investigation. A group called CrowdStrike, which is the same group that the DNC brought in to investigate hacking, and as BuzzFeed senior reporter Ryan Broderick said in NPR media, were sort of the ones that started the whole idea of collusion with Russia. William Jefferson Clinton transmitted the treaty to the Senate's writing, "I recommend that the Senates give early and favorable consideration to the treaty and give its advice and consent to ratification." So Bill Clinton was behind this treaty with the Ukraine. Hillary Clinton called on the Ukraine for dirt. And then the fun part, it just gets deeper and deeper as you may have heard, 3 Democratic senators wrote a demand letter to Ukraine asking for assistance, not really asking, demanding assistance with the Mueller investigation. I mean, it was something that shouldn't surprise you. I mean, I always get surprised, even though I think I've seen it all. House Democrats, as I said, Robert Menendez, Dick Durbin, Patrick Leahy wrote to the Prosecutor General Yuri Lutsenko of the Ukraine in 2018, demanding that he cooperate with the Mueller investigation and threatening to withhold aid if he didn't. Now, do we have a picture of Robert Menendez out there? I guess not. Robert Menendez, as you know, there he is. He is a pillar of morality, just a pillar. Perhaps you've heard of him. He was accused of having sex with underage girls in the Dominican Republic and accused of federal crimes for which he avoided with just a scolding from the Ethics Committee. What was the whistleblower accusing Trump of? Oh yeah, talking to Ukraine and asking them about an investigation. Same thing that the letter from these 3 senators did. House Democrats, I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind here. House Democrats did in 2018. Why are there 2 sets of rules? That's what we're asking now. We got it doubled down on 2 sets of rules, one for Democrats, one for Republicans. You know, sort of like the governor and lieutenant governor in Virginia, who are Democrats. The governor was either in blackface or the Klan costume, and he won't say which. And the lieutenant governor, who was accused by at least 2 women of forcible sex acts, but they're not ousted or ostracized. They're still holding their position despite accusation. Why isn't anyone believing these women when we're supposed to believe everybody that accuses a Republican? Anyway, the whole thing is, if this treaty is still in force, which it appears that it is because I found this out, it was written on September 30th. It's an article about the treaty with Ukraine of this year. So this treaty's still in play. If this treaty's still in play, the president has every right to ask them to help him with any kind of investigation. As I've said before, I don't understand, and I'm sure there's a nefarious reason why Bill Clinton set this up, because, as we know, Bill Clinton is Slick Willie, and he'll set stuff up. I'm sure he has a long-term plan in mind, which could be, you know, maybe one day my wife will run for president and I'll need some dirt on somebody. Not giving him too much credit, but it, you know, he plans ahead as far as those kind of things are going. You know, Joe Biden is seen on a video clip just bragging about the fact that he told the president of the Ukraine that if he didn't fire the prosecutor who was looking into his son, Hunter Biden, then he would take $1 billion in aid back. He bribed, I guess he was leveraging more than bribing, I guess, the money that is out of my pocket, in your pocket, against these people in order to get his son off. Now, in 2014, I wrote an article about this for Politichicks on politichicktv.com, talking about this very thing, because that's when it was going on. And Hunter Biden had gone down there and gotten on this gas company's board of executives, which the only thing I'm sure that Hunter Biden has experience in is buying drugs, getting in fights with drug dealer types and their associates, and I'm being nice, and spending all his money on hookers, with which his wife divorced him, and also he had an affair with his late brother's wife, which I'm sure that didn't help. So that's the only thing I'm sure that he has experience in. Gas companies, not so much. Now, also one of his partners who got on that board was Chris Hines. And who might that be? Oh, yes, John Kerry's stepson, along with their college roommate, Archer Devon. So they went down there during this time of upheaval because if you remember in 2013-14, Ukraine was in upheaval. The Russians were all over the place and it was a big mess. They had a lot of corruption. Their government's totally changed. A lot of people were having a lot of dissension. But, Biden has argued and bragged that he got rid of that prosecutor to throw him off the scent of his son. So that's kind of shady right there as far as I'm concerned. But, excuse me. But, when it comes to Clinton and it comes to Biden and it comes to the previous administration of which he was vice president, nothing is really off the table, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. They just keep on doing what they do, which is whatever they want for whatever is their benefit. But I just wanted everybody to know there's a little-known Clinton-approved treaty that lets Ukraine help us investigate criminal cases, which, like I said, is a mystery because I don't know how the Ukraine could be of really great help. But there you are. And you can look it up, and I put it on my Facebook page, so you can read it there if you want. We're going to go to a break now, and then we'll be back to talk about something else that I find pretty interesting this week.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart.
And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hi, welcome back to the Freedom Zone where the truth is set free, and I'm your host Candace to bring you through this last half. And I wanted to talk to you about a certain analogy that I noticed last week as I was watching the Democrats melt down over all these things that are happening. I'm a literary person. I write, and you may have read some of my articles on Fetch Your News or Politichicks TV or the Clash Daily or the Daily Surge. I also have a literary magazine that I put out called Bohemian Renaissance, which you can learn more about at bohemianrenaissance.com. And I was very lucky because I received a classical education at the time, probably one of the last in the U.S. I had Latin and language and literature, and all these things were very important at the school that I attended. And as I go through life, I see how art and life not only imitate each other, but they're often the same. In the matter of the Trump derangement syndrome, which seems to be running rampant through Washington, through Hollywood, we've been witnessing it in the extreme since November of 2016 when everybody cried. I'm reminded of the short story, The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. The story, it's really a good story. We've got a picture of Charlotte. And yes, there she is. She was a Victorian writer, which you may realize that in women were not allowed to have smarts or creativity, or other than doing home things, they were not... it was considered cute. They weren't smart enough to handle all this. If anyone has not read it, I recommend it. The story is a perfect example of those who feel a segment of society, in her story's case, women, were not too bright, subject to nervous illness, and unable to deal with thoughts of creativity and things like that. The analogy that I find in this story to what's going on with the Trump derangement syndrome is that the wife, the protagonist, is probably suffering from postpartum depression because this happens right after she's had her first child. And she has to be put away to get well because mental illness was just basically locked in a closet somewhere. They had no basis for study or comparison or try to heal people using science. It was, especially when it came to women, it was just like the nervous vapors, and you just get too nervous and all that. Her husband is a doctor, and he is sure that air and rest will cure her maladies. She's not allowed to write or do anything creative for her own good. She's supposed to just sit, take the air, relax, and get her mind back so she can, be his wife, take care of their baby. Like the presidential hopeful Christian Gillibrand had mentioned during a debate, she said she could come to people like suburban housewives, people that live in the suburbs that were women, and explain to them why they shouldn't vote for Trump. Suburban women are not stupid, and we don't need someone like her to come and explain to us who we should vote for. But this is the kind of thing that was very, very common in the Victorian times, that you weren't bright enough to know anything. And in the story, this woman, she's put in a room with some hideous yellow wallpaper, and her mind starts to run away with her because she is a creative person, and she becomes obsessed with the wallpaper, and the wallpaper eventually does drive her to real mental illness, which she probably didn't have in the beginning, which is like, the idea of Trump has given them real mental illness in these cases, because you can't talk to these people on a normal, reasonable, logical basis. People, like Hollywood, people in the Democratic Party. But the Democratic Party think that we, like the women of Victorian times, we meaning conservatives, Republicans, independents, we are incapable of thought, and they need to make decisions and have a big government in everything we do, because we can't run our own lives. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been running my own life since I was about 18 and got my first job. And that's what my mother told me, that as soon as I wrote my own checks, I could do what I wanted to. And so that's what I did. They're treating us like this protagonist was in this story like a dear little girl, and he poo-poos all of his wife's thoughts because she's just a silly little thing and she shouldn't bother her head with such things. That's the way they're treating us. You know, they did that with Obamacare. Oh, well, we'll take care of it. You know what? We know what you need. You know, they act like they need to make every decision for us, and that government should be in every part of our life, telling us how much soda to drink, you know, how much, we should do this, if we should have guns, if we should say illegal aliens. And this is my special shout out to New York City. Illegal aliens. That means people who are undocumented, who have broken the law to come across here. And that was just for you, New York. Don't call us, we'll call you. We're, as conservatives, we're traditional. We have Judeo-Christian backgrounds, and as Hank Williams Jr. says, and I quote, "We say grace, we say ma'am, and if you ain't into that, we don't give a damn." We're independent people. The problem is we were the original rebels. We came over to the United States to get away from England, to have our freedom of religion, to live as life as we wanted to without someone telling us what to do. And we thought, I suppose, that we were far enough away from the king to achieve that, which, as you know, the Revolutionary War occurred, so we weren't far enough away. And the people who migrated here at great peril wanted to live their own life. They wanted to be, most of them I think still did want to be English citizens, but they did want representation for their taxes that they were paying. They wanted to be free to live as they thought best, but Britain and the king wanted to control everything, such as coin, out of everyone and expect them to be happy to pay unrepresented taxes. The problems that we face today are still a result of this same discontent that we had. I don't know if anyone has ever had the chance to watch the show Turn with Washington's Spies. It was a very good show. It showed exactly the problems that we face today, only they were, of course, less electronic, but it was still somebody telling us what to do because we didn't know enough to run our own lives. And most people want to make their own decisions about what their life's about, how much soda they would like to drink, how many guns they would like to have. I don't know about you, but I've passed many a gun store, and I've never had one run out and try to shoot me because the guns themselves are inanimate. And that's part of our amendment rights, too. The Second Amendment started out with 10. Now we have quite a few more. But the Second Amendment and the First Amendment are very, very important because the First Amendment gives us free speech. We can say what we want. Now, you don't have to like it. That's your right. I can say boo, and you say I don't like that, and I'll say that's good, that's fine. Go ahead and think what you want to think. But the Second Amendment is about our right to bear arms, which we have to have, because can you imagine if we had these Democrats and we had no guns? Do you know what they would be trying to force down our throats if we had no way to possibly defend ourselves? And also they're allowing people to come in who have no respect for our laws, and they're performing horrible deeds. So they're supposed to live by, and I'm talking about the Democrats, behind a big walled fortress with their bodyguards, and we're supposed to be out in the street ducking for cover. Doesn't seem quite right to me. But we're the people who came originally to America and wanted to live free. We're the same people that Hillary called deplorable and that Joe Biden called the dregs of society. Now, we're the ones that pay taxes for the most part because we're the ones who are working. There's a lot of people who are, poor that they can't pay, and then the rich pay according to whatever the laws have been written. And as you know, the rich contribute to the people who go to Congress and Senate, and they're the ones that make the law. And that's fine because we have a responsibility to put people in or take people out as voters. But what I was alluding to with the American Revolution is you had people who were the Tories or the Loyalists, and they wanted to stay with the king. Now, I understand that. The king had given them maybe 10,000 acres in South Carolina or somewhere like that. So I can understand why you wouldn't want to bite the hand that fed you. Then you had the people in the colonies who wanted to be an independent nation. And I understand that too, because nobody wanted to be taxed without representation, and nobody wanted the big government in their lives telling them what to do, because like I said, they immigrated here at great peril to themselves and to their family. So you still have the same group of people, maybe on a little different sides, maybe by different names, but they still have one group trying to tell the other group what to do. The colonists in the original northern colonies, they were telling the loyalists what to do in the South and other places. There were loyalists everywhere. The king was trying to tell us what to do. We wanted to make our own decisions, and so that's what really started the American Revolution, was the fact that as the original rebels, the Americans are here and we want to do our own thing. We want to live the way we want to. We want to worship the way we want to, which was a big part of the immigration to the United States. And if you notice now, the Democratic Party, not only are they in Trump derangement, but they're backing every atheist organization. They're trying to pretend that the difference in church and state doesn't apply to this or that, so that they can try to control our lives. This is something that we won't allow, something that's never been part of our mottos, that we would, we believe in God, in God we trust, not in government we trust, not in Democrats we trust, or Republicans either for that matter. We all want to think for ourselves and have less and less government in our lives, and I think that that is what we're all shooting for when we go to work every day, when we come home at night. We're not silly, we're not stupid, we don't need someone to explain our lives to us and how to make a decision. We know what we're doing. And I just noticed that it just struck me immediately as I was watching some of their didos this weekend, where they were going completely out of their mind as far as the Democrats and Trump derangement. It reminded me of that story. So if anyone gets a chance to read The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, it's a very good story. Shows you how art and life are often the same kind of thing, even though it was a different time period. So that's basically what I wanted to talk to you about today, and I'm going to wrap it up at the Freedom Zone. And I'm your host, Candace, and I hope that you'll join us next week. And you can always get in touch with me on my Facebook or my emails. It's on fetchyournews.com. Thank you very much, and have a great weekend.